Good morning to the Honorable Ministers of the Council, members of the media, radio listeners via Maarten Radio 107.9 FM, respective radio stations island-wide, Telems, Tel TV Plus, Channel 15, and online viewers. I'm Rolika Roach, and welcome to the live Council of Ministers press briefing for today, Wednesday, July 10th, 2024. At this time, I would like to invite the Honorable Minister of Tourism, Economic Affairs, Transport and Telecommunication, Grisha Heyliger-Marten, to address you. Minister Heyliger-Marten, you have the floor.
Thank you, Rolika. Good morning to everyone. Good morning to the media. Good morning to my fellow colleague ministers. Good morning to those listening and viewing online. As a precautionary measure to prevent price gouging during the 2024 hurricane season, I have established a hurricane maximum price list. But before I go into details, I would like to acknowledge all those affected by Hurricane Beryl in Grenada, Carriacou, St. Vincent, the Grenadines, Jamaica, and other parts of the region. We know that what a devastation a powerful hurricane can bring, and our prayers are with all our brothers and sisters in the Caribbean, and particularly those that have lost loved ones, and encourage them to keep the faith knowing that they are not alone. With regards to the maximum price list, unlike recent years, this pricing will be in effect for the entire hurricane season rather than only when a storm is approaching or during the state of emergency. This will alleviate price gouging across the board. So the hurricane maximum price list will come into effect in the coming days and providing all stakeholders with the opportunity to make the necessary adjustments. It will remain in effect until November 30th, 2024, till the end of the hurricane season. The updated pricing for the 72 items in the basket of goods will also go into effect shortly. This regulates the maximum permitted prices of 72 items, including those in the basket of goods and disaster-related items such as water, batteries, building materials, first aid supplies. I want to assure the public that the Inspectorate of TEATT will be actively checking prices against published hurricane maximum price list and the updated price list for the basket of goods starting next week. More details on how the public can access said lists and report violations will be posted through our media channels in the coming days. As you know, I recently went on a fact-finding mission to St. Kitts and Nevis with a delegation to explore all aspects of agriculture. We gathered a wealth of valuable information. Given the abundance of insights we've gained, I've invited the press and the public to join us tomorrow at 11 a.m. for a debriefing. Myself, along with farmers Mr. Denisio Wyatt and Mr. Erion Neumann, as well as our Senior Policy Advisor from ETT, Mr. Shervin Frederick, will share our experiences and discuss how we can enhance agriculture here in St. Maarten based on what we've learned. And lastly, I'd like to end by acknowledging the hard work and dedication of the GB staff. I haven't done that throughout my last couple of weeks, but I want to let them know that these are undoubtedly challenging times, and your commitment under such stressful circumstances is truly, truly commendable. The community's eyes are on you, and I want to express my deepest gratitude for your continued efforts, especially during this man-made disaster. Please don't be discouraged. Brighter days are ahead for you too, St. Maarten. Thank you, and I welcome any questions.
Thank you, Minister Heyliger-Marten, for your opening remarks. At this time, I would like to invite members of the media to pose their questions to the Minister. I would like to first start with Bibi Hatshaw of SMN News. You have the floor.
Good morning, Ministers. For the Minister of Media, an update project, the marketplace project.
Yes, thank you, Bibi, for the question. We are still waiting to meet with the Royal Caribbean Cruise. We're supposed to have a meeting with them this week. Their schedule and my schedule were not in alignment, so we're supposed to still meet with them to go over the budget, all the questions that they've asked, and once they've given us the green light and it's approved, we can start to break ground as soon as maybe next week.
If I may ask another question that is also affiliated with your ministry. Since taken office, can you tell me how many bus and taxi licenses were issued? And if not, will there be any? Because this is the norm during the campaign periods. I'd like to know if you will be issuing or if you did, and if any moratorium have been lifted within the Ministry of TEATT.
Thank you for that question, Bibi. And I really am grateful for that question because I want to put some things in perspective because I'm hearing a lot of things out there. I'm going to repeat what I mentioned before. Prior to the former administration bringing in so-called cleaning up, it was at 365 taxis. It is now at 521. The buses were at, I think, about 100 and something, and now they're well over 200. I mentioned also in the meeting that I will not be issuing any permits because I'm busy assessing how the process is being done and also assessing what we can do to make sure that this never happens again. Because what we've been able to assess is that they never spoke to the stakeholders. Both markets are saturated. There's also a rumor going around. There's a particular ex-cabinet staff of the former administration out there saying that I will be pulling back permits from people. That I will not be doing either. I am merely assessing the entire situation. I will not be taking food from anyone's table. Let's make that abundantly clear. But I will make sure that the next time that this happens, we will do it in a structural way. This minister who is in a campaign situation right now will not be issuing licenses, which I can because the cap is at 550 and you have 521. I can do it, but I will not do it. I'm not looking to get votes by giving out or taking away. No, that's not my style. I won't be doing that. I'm merely looking at the policy and making sure that this will never happen again. I've also met with the Taxi Drivers Association. They've asked to increase their tariffs because the inflation is high. Things are tough for them, and they're all scrambling. So that's something too that I will be looking into, working on internally with my team.
Thank you, Minister.
There's a cap right now. Everything is status quo. I'm not touching everything until we have everything in place. And then when I have a full plan of how we're going to create a better policy, a better structural policy, then I'll let you know if I'm going to maintain a cap or a moratorium. We're still busy. I'm not going to just come up with information without details. Like I mentioned before, also the Integrity Chamber is also doing an investigation on this, and Asoa Bay are also doing investigations on this. I need to pull those research, the information from them together, and then come with a good, concise policy further. Okay?
Thank you, Minister. Thank you, Bibi. I would now like to invite Judy Fitzpatrick of the Daily Herald. You have the floor.
Thank you so very much, and a very good morning to all the ministers present, colleagues. Minister, I do have a clarification and a question, and my clarification is regarding the hurricane maximum price list that you said will be in effect in the coming days. My question is, what measures are in place, or what measures will be put in place, or what will happen to anyone that is found violating the price list once it goes into effect?
Usually from what I've gathered, because I'm completely new to this, they will be fined. But that information will be put out tomorrow. A full press release on the details of that will be put out tomorrow by our cabinet. Not the cabinet, from the policy department.
Thank you for that. And my question, Prime Minister, yes, Minister, you issued a press statement a few days ago in which you indicated that government had requested that the airport make overdue payments to government from the security fees of $1 per passenger, which was established since 2019. What you did not indicate in that press release is how much is owed. So how much exactly do they owe government? And I'm so sorry. And have they responded to your call for that payment? Thank you.
Thank you. First and foremost, let me explain why I went that route. This government right now is forced to cut 32 million guilders. Do you know what that means for this government right now? That means all the projections that was placed from the former government, the former minister of TEATT, was completely, I wouldn't say, what would I say? It was, what should I say, Minister? A bit ambitious. So we have to cut $32 million. That means guilders. That means every cent counts. The airport came to us, they made a presentation to us, and they asked, can we? It wasn't an official ask, but I stopped it one time because every penny counts for this country right now. It's about 5 million guilders. $5 million, $5 million, yes. $5 million plus, $5 million plus dollars that is owed since 2019. And that is, the Minister of Finance welcomes anything that we can get right now. That's mainly the reason why I asked for that.
Have they responded to your call?
No, nothing as yet.
Thank you, Minister. I would now like to invite Emma Lee of Island 92 Radio. You have the floor.
Minister, thank you. I took note of your statement that you are going to work on forming the Tourism Authority.
Right.
That's something that's been pending for decades. Could you outline what that process looks like in terms of timeline? Is the legal structure in place? Are you going to use what was already in place? Members, financing for the structure. Could you explain a little bit more in detail against the date of election? How does that relate?
Yes, for sure. The cutting, remember we had to cut. That's one thing we haven't cut. Financing is in place. There's also been a legal structure there. What we're in the process of doing now, we're in the process of discussing or negotiating with a particular person. I don't want to give the person's name as yet, to assist us in mainly building the tourism authority. This person, why we chose this person, because, and once we announce him, we will give you full details about him. He was the one that built the Aruba Tourism Authority and the Curacao Tourism Authority. He knows what went wrong, what can be tweaked, and he's the best person to come and maybe customize one for St. Maarten. So we're in negotiations with him. We are supposed to have, hopefully, an agreement sometime by next week. And then once that agreement is signed, sealed, and delivered, in the next press briefing, I will come and announce the person's name that's going to be working towards that. That's going to take us 2-3 months of building the structure. We will lean on his expertise to build the Tourism Authority.
So for clarity, you're looking at an incorporation or activation date after elections?
I would love to have this ready by or before the last quarter of the year.
Okay.
At least in time for the new budget, because we're going to have to make sure Budget 2025 can fulfill that Tourism Authority as well.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. As we do have extensive questions for the
just
Minister, I will continue with round 2. Bibi, you have the floor.
Yes. As a follow-up,
Yes.
would this new person be a consultant? Would they be hired? What is it, and what would it cost this bankrupt government?
Well, I just mentioned before that budget I haven't touched, so that budget is there for the Tourism Authority. And yes, this person will be a consultant. Why we chose this person? Because like I stated before, he has the expertise. He built the one from Curacao, he built the one from Aruba. So indeed that. How much it will cost, we're still in negotiations. I can mention all of that as soon as everything is signed, sealed, and delivered.
When I asked you my questions before on moratorium, I didn't mean just the taxi. I asked generally, were there any moratoriums lifted? And what about the issuance of casino license?
I haven't touched any moratoriums.
Okay. Thanks for the clarity.
No problem.
Judy, you have the floor.
Thank you so much. I also had one of my questions was also to ask you for an update on the assessment on the bus and taxi licenses, but you did go into a little bit of that based on Bibi's question. So my question would be, when is this whole assessment process expected to be completed?
According to SOAB, they said they would need, I think SOAB told me they would need 6 weeks, and also Integrity Chamber said they would need also, I think both of them stated the same time around the lines of 6 weeks, and I think we're well into 2 weeks now. So let's say in another month, I will hopefully be receiving the reports from them. I will come back with the outcome of those reports.
Thank you, Minister. Emil, you have the floor.
In the statement made today, you mentioned what the marketing budgets for the different destinations were. I think you mentioned that St. Martin's marketing budget was about $2 million.
I said guilders before, but it's dollars, yes.
Okay. So does that include the marketing firms? So how much of that budget is consumed by actual marketing activities versus representation firms? And are there plans to increase it, especially given the budget constraints that government's facing? Because as you mentioned in the article, it is really tiny compared
Of
to
course.
all of our competition.
Compared to the French side, French side is 8 million euros, and we're just 2 million. Well, I think we're the only one with a budget that low. I just had that paper in my hand, Emil, for me to go and break. I had it in my hand. So can I email you that information?
Sure.
Is that possible? Because I can give you the full breakdown of where that $2 million is, how it's being allocated.
So are there plans to cut it based on your budget
I have
issues?
tried my utmost not to touch the tourism budget as much as possible. I don't think the Prime Minister of Finance is going to be too happy with me. I'm going to have to shift another way because we cannot touch that meager budget.
And does that include the representation firms' fees?
I haven't touched those
But
at all.
that's in the 2 million?
Yes, yes.
So
yes.
the actual marketing dollars is
It's,
fairly
yes, and
small.
that's not touched. Expedia, those, they are not touched at all.
Thank you.
We can't afford to.
Thank you, members of the media. This does bring us to the end of the question and answer session for Minister Heyliger-Marten.
Thank